When you are dealing with an avoidant person, one of the most important things to understand, and perhaps the hardest to believe, is that love does not vanish when pressure grows. Instead, it goes underground. Avoidant attachment is not a lack of feeling. It is the result of a nervous system that views closeness as a danger. And pressure, even when it is fair or reasonable, and even when it is loving, acts like fuel for this fear. During the relationship, this pressure usually does not arrive as something loud or dramatic. It appears in small and quiet ways. It shows up as expectations of being consistent, being emotionally available, having conversations about the future, or simply the silent assumption that the bond will grow deeper. For someone with a secure attachment style, these things are seen as signs of safety and progress. For an avoidant person, they are seen as traps. This is not because they do not care, but because getting close triggers an inner alarm that says if they stay there, they will lose who they are. So what does the avoidant person do? They try to handle the threat, they pull back, they find reasons to leave, they focus on your flaws, the mistakes in the relationship, the bad timing, or their own stress. These are not lies in the traditional way. They are stories the mind tells to protect itself. They are psychological exit doors. The mind does this to protect its independence when the body feels trapped. Now, here is the most important point. As long as the relationship exists and the pressure remains, even if it is very mild pressure, the avoidant nervous system is busy trying to survive. Love cannot be fully felt in that state. It is like trying to enjoy a beautiful song while a loud fire alarm is ringing. The sound is there, but it is covered up by the feeling of an emergency. Stopping all contact changes that entire internal situation. When you step away, the pressure vanishes. There are no expectations to meet, no messages that need an answer, and no scary conversations about the future waiting to happen. The avoidant nervous system finally stops fighting. The threat is gone, and in that quiet space, something amazing happens. The emotions they were pushing down now have the room they need to come to the surface. This is why avoidant people often seem emotionally flat or cold during the relationship and then suddenly become thoughtful, sad, or even overwhelmed after it ends. Their emotional process is delayed, not missing. It is just late. Distance gives them the ability to reach their own inner world. Looking at it deeply, this is tied to freedom. Human beings do not value things that feel like they are required. For love to mean something, it must be chosen freely. And for the avoidant, closeness inside a relationship can feel like a requirement even when no one is forcing them to do anything. No contact gives them back the feeling of choice. And strangely, it is often only when the choice is given back that love can be recognized. There is also something deeper happening regarding their identity. Avoidant people often define themselves by being very independent and self-sufficient. In a relationship, especially one that is getting stronger, they may unconsciously feel that their sense of self is being rubbed away. No contact gives that identity back to them, and once they feel like themselves again, they can look back at the relationship without feeling threatened by it. This is why chasing them, begging them, explaining things, or trying to be understood almost never works with avoidant people. Those actions only increase the pressure. They make the very fear that caused them to leave even stronger. Silence, on the other hand, does something completely different. It shows respect for their independence, and respect is the most important thing for love to exist in an avoidant person's mind. It is important to know that this is not a trick. It is not about trying to make someone miss you. It is about removing yourself from a situation that was actively stopping emotional honesty. You are not creating a loss. You are allowing reality to be felt. And reality cannot be felt when someone is constantly trying to defend themselves. As time passes without contact, the avoidant person begins to feel the absence, not as a relief, but as a loss. And loss helps people see their emotions clearly, without pressure, without fighting, and without the need to protect their independence. They can finally ask the question they could not ask before. What did that person actually mean to me? And that question often feels very heavy because now there is no one asking anything of them. No one is pulling on them or demanding comfort. There is just the quiet realization that something valuable existed and it is no longer there. That is when love becomes something they are aware of. It is not because you forced it out, but because you stopped crowding it. This sets the stage for everything that follows next. The late emotional processing, the loss of control, and the failure of their defense strategies cannot happen until the pressure is gone. No contact is not using silence as a punishment. It is silence as a way to find the truth. When pressure leaves, clarity enters. And for the avoidant, clarity is often where love finally shows itself. Once the pressure has been removed and the nervous system is no longer waiting for a hit, something else begins to happen. This is something that often confuses people who have dealt with avoidant behavior. The emotional timeline moves in reverse. What was quiet before becomes very loud later. What seemed to be missing begins to show up. And this is not because the avoidant person suddenly changed their mind. It is because this is how their emotional system has always worked. Avoidant people do not process feelings in the moment, the way secure people do during times of closeness or intensity. Their natural instinct is to turn down the volume of their feelings. They push them down, try to be logical, distract themselves, and put feelings in separate boxes. This is not a bad character trait. It is a survival habit they learned, often when they were young and being dependent on others felt unsafe. Feeling deeply in the moment was not helpful back then, so the mind learned to wait until later. During the relationship, this delay creates a false image. The avoidant person looks calm and logical, while the partner is feeling deeply and often feels anxious. But what is actually happening is that the avoidant person is storing emotional data without fully feeling it yet. Experiences of connection, care, and intimacy are recorded but not yet processed. They sit under the surface, waiting for the right conditions to be felt. And those conditions almost never exist while the relationship is active. Why? Because processing emotions requires safety, not the safety of being close, but the safety of having distance. When the bond is active, the avoidance system is still looking for threats, expectations, and the loss of freedom. The mind stays busy managing risks. There is no room to feel what the connection truly meant. No contact changes that. Distance makes things feel less immediate. The relationship is no longer something that has to be handled or fixed. It becomes something that can be remembered. And memory is where the avoidant person finally lets their emotions speak. This is why avoidant people often feel the relationship most strongly after it is over. It is not just missing the past in a simple way. It is finally feeling all the things they couldn't feel before. The mind finally has the space to connect the feelings with the experiences. Moments that seemed small before now feel very important. the laughs you shared, the safety you gave, and the consistency they didn't know how to handle at the time. These things arrive later, often when they don't expect it and with a lot of force. There is a deep tension here. Meaning is not always felt right away. In fact, some of the most important human experiences, like love and grief, are only understood by looking back. Avoidant people live mostly in that space of looking back. They understand what something was only once it is no longer asking anything from them. This is also why avoidant people often say things like they didn't realize what they felt until the other person was gone. That statement is often seen as a trick, but it is psychologically true for them. The emotion was not reachable earlier, not because it wasn't there, but because admitting it would have required being vulnerable in a way they weren't ready for. It is important to note that this late processing is not just for good feelings. It applies to pain as well. During the relationship, avoidant people often seem fine with fights or breakups, but after no contact, the emotional results begin to hit them. Regret, longing, and sadness show up. This is not because the breakup is new, but because the system is finally calm enough to feel the pain. And this is where many people make a big mistake. They end the silence too early. They think the silence means the avoidant person doesn't care. They come back before the emotional processing is finished. When that happens, the avoidant defenses turn back on and the window closes. The emotions hide again without being finished. Time and distance are not just waiting around. They are active tools. They allow the avoidant person to feel without fear, to think without feeling forced, and to put their feelings together without pressure. And putting those feelings together is what turns their attachment into real love. There is a serious truth in all of this. You cannot make this process go faster. You cannot use logic to make someone ready to feel. And you cannot be so present that they suddenly learn how to feel. For an avoidant person, emotional understanding happens in silence, not in talking. This brings us to a deeper truth. Love that is never felt is the same as love that never existed. No contact is the line that gives feeling a chance to be noticed. Without it, everything stays as just an idea in the head and is never solved. When distance allows the emotions to catch up with the experience, the avoidant person is finally faced with the truth of what was lost. And once that truth is seen clearly, it cannot be ignored. After the emotions surface and the late processing catches up, another confusing realization follows. The avoidant person becomes aware that their sense of control is gone. For an avoidant, control is not about bossing someone else around. It is about knowing what to expect. It is about knowing where the limits are, where they can hide, and how close they will let someone get without feeling trapped. Inside the relationship, the avoidant person usually feels safe because they believe they can manage the distance. They can wait to text back. They can pull away. They can find excuses for why they are uncomfortable. These habits create a feeling that they are not fully at risk. The relationship exists, but only on the terms they choose. No contact breaks that illusion. When you disappear, the avoidant person loses the tools they used to make the bond feel safe. They can no longer pull away to find their balance because there is nothing to pull away from. They can no longer test how close you are by withdrawing because the silence is already there. The situation they thought they understood is replaced by not knowing, and not knowing is very hard for them. Human beings are more upset by losing control than by losing a person. Loss can be mourned, but losing control forces a person to face being vulnerable. And being vulnerable is exactly what the avoidant person has spent their whole life trying to avoid. The end of the relationship doesn't just feel like a loss of love, it feels like they have lost their way in the world. This is where they start to rethink everything. When they could reach you easily, your presence was just a normal part of life. We often don't notice things that we think will always be there, but when you are gone, their view of you becomes much sharper. Your absence becomes a factor they cannot control. Their mind is forced to look into what you actually added to their life. They start to replay things in their head, not to find your faults, but to find the meaning. They ask what you provided that they no longer have, like emotional safety or the feeling of being known. These questions come because their system is trying to find its balance again. There is a strange truth here. We think love grows when we are close, but we often only notice love when we are apart. This is not because being apart creates love, but because it removes the safety net that allowed love to be taken for granted. Control makes our feelings dull. Loss makes them sharp. For avoidant people, this is very intense because their identity is built on not needing anyone. The belief that they are fine alone is challenged by the actual experience of your absence. It reveals a need for others that they used to deny. Needing others is not a weakness. It is a basic human truth. We are made for connection. Avoidant people understand this in their heads, but fight it in their hearts. No contact gets past their mental walls and teaches them this through experience. Another part of this is the collapse of their stories. During the relationship, the avoidant person keeps a story in their head to justify staying distant. They say the timing is wrong or the connection isn't perfect. These stories help them keep control, but when you stay gone, the story has to face the real world. If the story was true, they would just feel relieved. Instead, they feel uncomfortable. They start to miss you and have doubts. Their mind begins to question its own choices. And once the story breaks, they feel responsible. Responsibility is scary because it means their actions had real effects. No contact creates the space for them to look at themselves because there is no one else to blame and no interaction to twist. This is why avoidant people go back and forth in their minds during no contact. One minute they feel free, and the next they feel deep regret. This is not them being indecisive. It is their mind reorganizing itself. They are trying to fit their need for independence together with their need for connection. The hard truth is that many avoidant people do not know how much they care until they can no longer control the relationship. When love is free and has no pressure, it can be pushed aside. When it shows up in the silence without a way to contain it, they have to admit it is there. No contact does not make someone love you. It forces them to see what was already there without their defenses in the way. And seeing clearly is a life-changing experience. When control goes away, truth takes its place. After the defenses fail, the avoidant person meets something totally new, feeling love without feeling like they owe something. This is a very important moment. For an avoidant, love in a relationship usually feels tied to expectations and duties. They feel like if they love someone, they have to give up something of themselves. Love feels like a business deal they didn't want. This is because their past taught them that closeness has a high price. So inside the relationship, love feels dangerous. No contact ends that feeling of a contract. When the relationship is over and no one is asking them for anything, no commitment and no explanations, Love can finally be felt as just a feeling inside them. It is no longer a demand. This difference is huge. Feeling forced makes people resist. Having a choice makes things meaningful. In no contact, love is not a requirement. It is optional. And because it is optional, it can be admitted honestly. The avoidant person is free to feel without having to fix anything. That freedom makes them feel safe. And safety is the only way they can truly see love. This is why they often feel love most strongly when they think nothing will come of it. The lack of consequences makes the feeling okay. Love can exist without threatening their freedom. The thing avoidant people fear most, that love will take their freedom, is actually what stops them from feeling love freely. No contact fixes this by separating the feeling from the duty. It allows love to be seen as a truth instead of a threat. Many people think that if love was real, the avoidant person would have acted sooner. But acting on it requires being ready, and they can't be ready while they are afraid. Love under fear is broken. Love without fear makes sense. In the silence, they start to ask what they actually feel, rather than what they have to do. This is a huge change for someone who has always focused on protecting themselves. They realize love was never the problem. The fear of losing themselves was the problem. Without the fear being triggered, love looks like a value they choose, not something forced on them. This is why asking for proof of love from an avoidant person usually fails. It turns love into a performance. Silence removes the need to perform. There is no audience, just an honest look at what matters. This doesn't mean they will always come back. Some may realize they loved you but still cannot handle being close. That is a sad but honest truth. Love alone doesn't fix old wounds, but recognizing it changes things. No contact also gives respect back to the person who walked away. It shows you won't stay in a situation where you have to shrink for someone else to feel safe. That is not leaving them. It is respecting yourself. And often, self-respect is what makes love visible. Real love needs two whole people choosing each other without fear. No contact lets that truth come out. Whether it leads to being together again or just finding peace, it replaces confusion with a clear mind. And clarity, even when it is painful, is the start of something real. When the silence of no contact continues, a final shift happens. The avoidant person begins to realize that their old way of living, staying safe by staying alone, is no longer giving them the peace it used to. In the past, they thought that being self-sufficient was the same as being happy. They believed that by keeping people at a distance, they were winning. But without you there to act as the pressure they are running from, they are left alone with their own emptiness. This is the stage where the longing for connection finally becomes stronger than the fear of intimacy. Usually, an avoidant person uses your pursuit of them as a reason to stay away. If you are chasing, they are running. But when the chasing stops, they are forced to stand still. In that stillness, they begin to see that the wall they built to keep you out is now the same wall that is keeping them trapped in loneliness. They start to realize that the freedom they fought so hard for feels a lot like isolation. This is also when the phantom partner syndrome often fades. Sometimes, avoidants focus on a perfect person from their past or a future fantasy to avoid being present with you. But during long-term no contact, the reality of who you were, the actual warmth you provided, starts to look much better than a fantasy. They begin to compare their cold, quiet reality to the vibrant, emotional life they had when you were around. They stop seeing you as a source of stress and start seeing you as a source of life. However, even when they reach this point, they often face a new wall: shame. They might feel love, they might feel regret, and they might want to reach out, but they are terrified of being rejected. They think, I pushed them away so hard. Why would they ever want to hear from me now? This is why their eventual return is often very small or indirect. They might like a photo, send a short text about something random, or ask a mutual friend about you. These are tests to see if the danger is still there. Ultimately, the goal of this process isn't just to get them to come back. It is to change the way they see love. Through the silence, they learn that love is not a cage, and you learn that your value is not defined by how hard you chase someone. Whether they return or not, the clarity you gain from this space is the most valuable part. You realize that you deserve a love that is felt in the present, not just in the rearview mirror. After the realization of loss settles in, the final stage of this process is the move toward accountability and the potential for a new kind of connection. When an avoidant person has reached the point where they no longer view you as a source of pressure, they begin to look at their own patterns. This is the most difficult part of their journey because it requires them to admit that their desire for freedom was actually a flight from fear. They start to see that the problem was not the relationship or your personality, but their own internal response to being known. In this quiet stage, the avoidant person often experiences a deep sense of missed opportunity. They look at the moments where you reached out and they pulled away, and for the first time, they feel the weight of those choices without the shield of anger or annoyance. This is where the true psychological work happens. They have to reconcile the fact that they are a person who needs others with the fact that they have spent years pretending they do not. This creates a period of intense internal debate. They may want to reach out, but they are often held back by the fear that it is too late or that they have caused too much damage to be forgiven. This is also the time when the phantom partner habit truly dies. Avoidant people often stay attached to an ex from the distant past or a dream of a perfect person as a way to avoid the real person standing in front of them. In the total silence of no contact, these fantasies lose their power. The avoidant person begins to realize that the phantom was just a way to stay safe and alone. They start to value the real, messy, and imperfect connection they had with you over the safe but empty fantasy they kept in their head. The silence acts as a mirror that forces them to see who they are and what they have done. As they move through this, the way they think about the future changes. They stop thinking about how to stay independent and start thinking about what they are missing out on by being so guarded. If they do decide to reach out, it is often because they have reached a point where the pain of being without you is finally greater than the fear of being close to you. However, it is important to remember that this process is for them to do alone. If you step in to help them with their guilt or to make it easier for them to return, you risk bringing back the very pressure that started the cycle.